And a very good morning to you. Welcome to today's edition of The Source. I am your host, Tiffany Bacon. Come on in the room. Thank you so much for joining me on this fabulous Friday. We are WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and of course streaming live on our website, WURDradio.com. We are also streaming live on our Facebook page, so feel free to join us there. We'd love to see you. Come on over and join the conversation. First and foremost, I have to say hello to my super producer, Miss Kayla J. Hey, Kayla.
Good morning, Miss Tiff.
Hey, Mama. So I heard that you are the curator of the WURD playlist because everybody knows you know how to put some music together. So you curate the playlist. Yes.
Yes.
And it comes out every week. Yes.
Yes.
And we have a new one this week. Tell the folks about it.
We do a new playlist drop this week. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, that's where it can be found. It's also somewhere on our WURD website, but especially if you go through the newsletter, you can click right to it. It's right there. And this week I'm focusing on Black Lives Matter.
Awesome.
We had a bunch of protests and now it seems a little silent.
It ain't silent for long. We're going to be talking about one that's coming up, too.
Yeah, so my caption says, now is not the time to be silent.
I love it.
And it's a lot of artists who dropped music in 2020 around Black Lives Matter.
Fantastic.
So in that playlist, you'll find a bunch of artists, some that you may have heard, some that you may have never heard, who created music just to go along with the injustice that's going on in our world today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You always know how to find the right butters to complement our conversations, and I know you know how to put a great playlist together. So if you were looking for some uplifting, interesting, new, and classic music, check out the WURD playlist. Again, check out our newsletter. If folks are not subscribed, how can they subscribe to the newsletter?
Simply go to wordradio.com and enter your email at the bottom of the page.
Fabulous. So you need to be on that. That's all I'm going to say about that. And check out our new playlist today. Lots to talk about today, but first and foremost, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge today's anniversary. It is the 19th anniversary of 9/11 today. I will be asking my guest that question. Where were you on this day? In light of current events, 2001 seems like a lifetime ago, but that moment affected and impacted so many people, whether they were in New York on that day, had friends or family members that passed away or were injured during that time. Yeah. It's a memory that's hard to let go of. So I'm asking you, where were you on that day? I can say briefly, because I want to spend more time with my first guest, give her an opportunity to answer that question as well. I remember it clearly. It was a Tuesday. It was a beautiful Tuesday at that. The sky was the kind of blue that was made for movies, I would say. Beautiful blue sky, very few clouds, perfectly warm, not too hot, not too humid. And it was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. I was working at another radio station doing traffic. I left the room after my traffic report, which usually happens around 8:50. And when I come back in, the news reporter was staring at the television. Our program director and a couple of other station folks came into the newsroom, and everyone was staring at NBC, the Today Show. And they said, hey, a plane just hit one of the towers. My initial thought was, wow, how can you miss that? It must have been a malfunction, or hopefully the pilot wasn't inebriated or anything like that. As we were watching the Today Show, we saw the second plane hit, and the quiet that came over the room was not one I could readily describe. It was all of a sudden everyone in the room knew this was not an accident. All of a sudden everyone had this deep sense of dread because we clearly saw an amazing loss of life at that moment. And then we all know how the rest of the day panned out. It was a hard, hard day for many people. And we're going to acknowledge the almost 3,000 people who lost their lives on that day. And my, how the world has changed since 2001. So, just to remember what this day is, it is 19 years since that event. Next year, of course, will be the 20th anniversary. But that is going to be the first question of my guests for the day. And I have some amazing people I want you to meet. These are, and it's all sisters today, by the way. It is sisters are doing it for themselves on the source today. So you're going to meet some amazing women who are doing some wonderful things for women, for themselves, for children, for everybody. And my first guest is my sister friend representing Temple University, who is a first-time author. And I welcome her to the program, Miss Ginger Smith. Ginger, good morning, sister. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Tiff. Thank you. How are you?
I am fine, Diva. I am fine. How you doing?
Amazing.
Well, come on in the room, girlfriend. Thank you for being a part of the program. As I just mentioned, I am going to start off with that question, so you can also get some, some history and time in your own personal growth from 2001 to now. But where were you on 9/11?
I was in my first apartment up in Mount Airy on Sedgwick Street, a second floor apartment, and I was already still mourning the death of Aaliyah that had taken place the prior month in August, my birthday month. That was a celebrity death that really hit me hard, and so I was really struggling with that. And then weeks later, 9/11 occurred. As you said, I think I was watching TV or whatever I was doing in my apartment, and then either someone called me or I just happened to have the news on, and that first plane hit. And like you said, naturally, I thought, like, well, how could they miss that tower? It's so huge, in terms of New York skyline. And I was kind of like just stuck. I was just looking like stuck. And then shortly after, the second one came, and I started texting and calling friends. I did have family in the New York area, so I was definitely concerned about their well-being. And as the images just kept, replaying and replaying, I just felt such a sadness, and just shock. It was just utter shock. Like you didn't want to pull away from the footage, but you wanted to, but then you couldn't, because you were just like, oh my God, what is happening? It was just the images. I just remember, people bleeding, people being covered in all that soot, people just in a scurry and panic to find their loved ones, find their colleagues. There were so many people working, wonderful people working in those buildings. It was a sad, sad day.
Extremely sad, extremely heavy. And then we can't forget about like the response here at home, because not long after it happened, one of the things that I had to report on was the fact that nothing was moving. So you couldn't catch a bus, train, plane. You could barely catch a cab anywhere. Like, traffic was gridlocked in a lot of places. And if you were trying to get home, I know a lot of parents were trying to pick up their children. They were trying to get home from work. Just to get in the house was chaotic for hours. But yeah, I had to watch that footage all day because I had to work. I worked 13 hours that day, and it was hard. It was hard. Considering where we are right now, and 2020 has been that year that's like, really? We're going to do this now? We're just going to keep doing this level of crazy now? That seems like a lifetime ago. So let's just talk about your journey in that time from 2001 to now. What have you been doing prior to writing your very first book?
Whew, a lot. Life is life is full. I became a mother several times. I have 4 children total. Wow. I've had various jobs working in the social service arena. I've been doing children and family services for the last 17 years. I created a button company called In Spirit Button Designs, where I design buttons, magnets, keychains, button mirrors, all your button needs. That came out of, that was birthed out an experience I had taking an enrichment class at E9 Baptist Church. Yes. I had never made buttons before, but by the time I got through the class with Miss Hillary Beard, God had given me the vision for that. And initially, my plan was to do buttons that had inspirational quotes and affirmations to inspire and encourage people. And as my business evolved and as my vision evolved, I did buttons for companies, people that were participating in walks, like cancer walks or, fundraisers. I've done them for salons. I've done them for educators to give buttons to their students as a part of a reward system. So things like that. Just really being a mother, growing professionally. In my current role as a community liaison at Catholic Community Services, I have gotten a promotion in the last couple of years to be supervisor, and that has been very rewarding in helping, my colleagues to grow and expand. And I also decided to go back to school.
Oh my goodness. Sister girl.
I am currently, well, as you know, from our days in Temple, I'm a graduate of Temple Radio, Television, and Film, the old RTF.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to go back and get my master's. So I'm currently enrolled in the communication management program. And I am about 5 classes away from graduating.
Congratulations. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's been really exciting. It was an adjustment after many years away from school, but it's been wonderful to just be in that arena and be absorbing all this information. And my plan is to start a consulting firm afterwards. I really want to specialize and work with nonprofits because that's where most of my professional career has been set.
Yeah.
I think nonprofits have great missions, but are very distracted with the poor internal and external communication. So I want to be able to go into agencies and kind of assess what's going on and give recommendations of how they can get back on track and function more efficiently.
Fabulous. You are a busy lady and you have 4 children. How do you make time? I'm going to ask you this. I want you to think about it because I have to take a break and we'll come back and have you answer this question. But how do you chase dreams, work, and raise 4 kids? How does that even happen? I want to hear about that. And of course, we're going to talk about your first book when we come back after this.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home. In the happy hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Take just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
This is Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit IBX.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
Tune in this and every Saturday at 3 p.m. for the Let's Talk Fire Safety Show with host Adam Thiel, Fire Commissioner, discussing fire and life safety.
You're listening to The Source with Tiffany Bacon on Word Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the Word Radio app.
Republic, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
wanna live. God protect me. I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hung to this grave. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. So many thoughts in my head. Will I live or will I end up dead? It's an unease or sequel. No matter where I be, there's no place safe for me. Oh, I'm not asking for too much. So Lord, please help. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. This is my battle cry. I just wanna live.
Music from Kayla J's playlist. The Word playlist is available now on our website and, of course, on our newsletter. Make sure you go to the website, input your email address so you can receive our newsletters weekly. Keydron Bryant, that's the name of the young man singing that song. And Kayla J told me he opened up NFL yesterday singing that song on the... Yes, young brother, do your thing. Welcome to this edition of The Source on WURD. I'm Tiffany Bacon here with my first guest, Ginger Smith. She is an author, first time, a serious hard worker, and a mom of 4. How do you do this all? How do you chase your dream, work a full-time job, and raise 4 babies?
Oh my goodness, Tiff. I don't know. It's by the grace of God.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
You know, my children are my inspiration. And for those that, you know, grab a copy of my book, my dedication page is dedicated to my children. And they really give me purpose and motivation in life. So everything I do that I know that they're looking at, I'm trying to instill, you know, values of persistence and faith and, you know, having a dream, having a vision and seeing it to fruition. So everything that I do, I just try to model that for them. Not to say that it's not challenging at times, especially with this virtual learning thing going on. I actually have the kids down in the basement learning while I'm in another part of the room to participate in this interview with you today. Yes. But it's a lot of juggling. It's a lot of prioritizing. You know, sometimes feeling stressed out and having to, you know, step back and find some way to recharge, regroup, you know, exercise some self-care. But I'm not easily deterred. You know, I just If I feel like I'm wailing, I just find a way to get back up and keep moving.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I also
Amen.
want to add I have 2 grands as well, so my life
What?
is full.
Oh, yes, your life is very full, ma'am. Listen, I want to bring my audience into the conversation. If you have a question or a comment for our first-time author joining us in the 10 o'clock hour, feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's how you can reach us in studio. Or you can post your comments to our Facebook live stream. Hello, all in Facebook land. I thank you so much for checking us out. You can post your comments or questions there. We would love to hear from you. So tell us about the book. You've written this book called Niles' Surprise Discoveries. What is it about?
Oh, wow. Yes, this is my labor of love. 20 years in the making. So it's really a dream come true for me. It's loosely based on an experience that my eldest son, Nasir, who is now 24, that we had when he was just 4 years old. For all my folks in Uptown that remember the Germantown Y, I was an employee there back in 2000, and I used to take him to work with me. And on our way to the 18 bus one day to go into work, we encountered this little thing on the sidewalk. And being inquisitive as most little boys are, he wanted to know what it was, and he wanted to take it to work with us. And I'm like, what? I'm not trying to do that. I don't know what that thing is. But somehow he convinced me to scoop it up. I don't even know like where we got the little shoebox, but here we are on the 18. Maybe I ran back in the apartment, I'm not sure, but here we are on the 18 bus with this little thing in the box. And when we got to work to the Y, I popped the lid to show all the children and at the camp, and they were like, ew, 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 what's that? So I'm like, I don't know. But to me, it looked like a naked mole rat. And if anyone's ever seen a naked mole rat at the Philly Zoo, it's like this ugly little thing. It's pinkish. It has no hair, no fur on it. That's what I, assumed it to be. But one of the staffers at the Y said, well, there's a veterinarian office around the corner on Green Street. And if you take it around there, they can tell you what it is. And so that is exactly what we did on my lunch break. Nasir and I strolled around there and announced to us, we learned that we had a baby squirrel.
What?
Yes, a newborn baby squirrel, right?
Wait a minute.
So my story is, that's the foundation of the story. But of course, as an author, I did embellishments to make it exciting, to, just draw my readers in. So, that's my baby, 20 years in the making.
I love it. I love it. So what inspired you to write this children's book? I mean, it could have been anything. You could have done anything with that story. Why write a children's book?
Well, I just think that it was a personal experience that we had, and it was unique to us. And I'm really big on building stories that are personal because no one else will have them. Having been an educator in the past and also worked with the school district in a early literacy learning program, I saw lots of books, but sometimes the themes get a little redundant, and I was looking to create something fresh, something new that everyone hadn't heard about. And no one knew about our story because it wasn't a personal experience. And then to expand and just develop the story so that it was really, it really had meaning to it. That was my real motivation. I don't want to give all the story away because I do definitely want the readers to read it, but I also incorporated a lot of themes that are really important to me, like mentorship, the wonderment of surprise and adventure, and also veterinarian science as a career path. And that's towards the middle end of the book. That is what Niles considers and affirms for his future. And I think that's wonderful that Black and brown children, and all children for that matter, just aspire to do something positive and have someone in their circle that encourages them along the way.
I love it. I love it. Questions or comments for our first-time author? Feel free to give us a call, 634-8065. 215-634-8065. So writing books, telling stories, is that something you've always wanted to do?
I don't know about writing a book per se, but academically being in school, I always loved to write. I put my all into my school academic papers and presentations. But as far as this story, I definitely was passionate about it, to have something that happened over 20 years ago and never abandon it, even despite the challenges. And then during the pandemic, I've already written a second book. So
Wow.
I think once you do one, I think you catch the bug. You get bitten by the bug, and it's hard to leave it alone. During this pandemic, it has been a trying time for all of us. And we sometimes see the negative, but I've really seen it as a blessing. One, I've spent more time than usual with my children, but it's also provided time to kind of just like slow down, refocus, and kind of pick some things up that I had, maybe abandoned or put to the side, just for trying to juggle my busy schedule.
Yeah.
Because I worked on this for a while, and then I put it to the side, and then I picked it back up. Like, even though this experience happened 20 years ago, I didn't actually pen it on paper until 2018. And I worked on it for a while, and then I started grad school, and life started happening, and I had to put it to the side. I'm going to tell you what was the catalyst in me picking it back up. I had a summer class session for grad school back in May, and one of the first assignments for class was to introduce ourselves to our classmates and share some fun or interesting facts that no one would know. So in my little essay, I wrote that, I had recently written a children's book, but had yet to publish it. And my goal was to pick it back up. And from there, that was like my motivation. And I got started right away. So wow. I don't know if you're going to believe this. I'm still trying to process it myself, but the company that I worked with, DG Self-Publishing, I got to give a shout out to them, Donnie and Shamira out in Arizona.
Okay.
African-American husband and wife team, they're phenomenal. I looked at my notes because I write everything down. I think that's really crucial to write everything down. I had a phone interview or intake conversation with Donnie on May the 19th, which is also my dad's birthday. And that conversation jump-started my process in working with them. And here we are in September with a book that's published, released, and ready to be shared with the world. Wow. So that's really a very short amount of time to go through that process. Even though it's been a long process, I'm actually talking about the production piece. I literally started with them in May, and now we're here.
Unbelievable. Want to talk to you more about the self-publishing for anybody else who may be considering releasing a book in a moment, but we do want to take some calls. Again, you can reach us at 215-634-8065. We have Herman calling in on line 1. Herman, good morning. You're live on air.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Well, I want to say very good morning to my dear friend Tiffany Bacon. This is Herman from Peace and Love.
Oh, that Herman, I love you. How are you, dear?
I am amazing. So I hopped in the car, and the radio just turned on, and you were on, and then you you're celebrating the sister with the book, and I want to celebrate her as well because she's from Uptown. I'm from Uptown.
Yes.
And Tiffany, here's something that nobody knows, and just like she said, share something that nobody knew. Tiffany, I'm actually doing a kid's book. And
no, you're not.
Yes, I am, and I started the kids book a year ago with my nephew. My nephew had a son. 8 years later, he has a daughter. So my great nephew is really having a hard time accepting the new addition to the family. So my nephew called me. He like, I don't know what to do. Like, he is like really not like feeling it. And we thought he was excited about the new addition. He was like, yo, can you come up? He lives up in New York. I said, you know what? I'm on my way. And I'm on the train. I caught the train up. And I wrote a kid's book on my way. I was like, I got to make this fun. And then I said, you know what? Him and I are going to write the kid's book together. So my great nephew and I wrote the kids book, and it's called my first job. And it's when he had his dad gave him a job to be help the mom and to help to his sister. And I put it down because I just did it quick, didn't give thought to it. But listening to the sister talk about her book and her experience, she encouraged me to pick it back up.
Yes.
Thank you, Herman.
Oh, that's awesome.
She encouraged me to pick it back up. And Tiffany, if you could, because I don't want to hold y'all up. I know how it is to also be in the studio, and you want some phone calls. So I'm calling. I want to celebrate you, sister. But Tiffany, I would love to connect with her and maybe do like a peace and love collaboration with her kids book. So if you could give her some more intel about who Peace and Love is and what we do and make the connection, let's make it happen.
I think it's great. Well, since you're on the air right now, you might as well say it since you're here, honey.
I hear you, and I received that, and I'm ready to work with you, brother. Thank you.
Yes, and tell folks about Peace and Love.
Nope, because it's her shine. We'll talk later.
No problem. We definitely will.
Her and I will reconnect, and then let's go talk about Peace and Love and what we do together.
Sounds great.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
First book.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Herman. I appreciate you. Look at you out here inspiring folks. I love it. I love it. And that's part of what all this is about as well. The journey that it took so long for you to just get started. It's been on your mind, but you didn't let it go. I know that's not lost on a lot of people who have certain dreams, certain things they said they want to do. But, life happens. It happens to everybody. And sometimes you put things down and you feel like, man, maybe I'm too old to do this, or maybe I missed that moment. At any point in your journey, did you feel like you missed the moment? Did you feel like, I can't really do that now because I'm too old or I have too many responsibilities?
I don't think so. I mean, I definitely had periods of frustration, feeling like I couldn't do this. This is overwhelming. No one wants to hear this story. Is this even worth all the headache and tears? But I'm telling you, for those that follow me on social media and saw me share, the video where I actually opened my package to unveil my proof book, in that moment, it was all worth it. You know what I mean? I just think naturally, when we go through adversity in life, the ups and downs, we second guess ourselves. And that's natural, but you can't stay there. You have to move beyond that and just continue to be inspired and motivated. Whatever that burning thing is that you have that just won't leave you alone, that keeps, buzzing in your ear or tugging at your heart, you got to do it. You have to do it. And that won't go away until you make it happen.
I love it. You were talking about your publishers, self-publishing. How did you find them and how did you decide to work with them?
So one of the things I've done in the last 2 years when I got really serious about making this book is get familiarized and join different organizations or groups on Facebook. And one of them was the children's books by African-American authors and illustrators. And that has been a wonderful platform to just kind of like hang out in, observe what's going on, look at the dialogue and the conversation. People come in and they ask questions regarding, who should you publish with? Just getting insight on the whole process. It's a really deep and intense process. There's so many facets that you have to educate yourself on. But I was in that group and I kept seeing a lot of people referring to DG self-publishing. And as I got closer to wanting this book to really manifest, I clicked on their website to get a closer look. And again, I learned that, it was a young African-American couple. They were based out of Arizona, and I looked at the quality of their work. They had pretty beautiful samples of other authors that, projects that they had brought to fruition. And I said, wow, I like what they're doing. I'm going to reach out to them. And as I shared earlier, I made that phone call on May the 19th, and the rest is history. But basically, they specialize in children's authors' work. They do the illustrations, and it's start to finish assisting self-publishers. And I think self-publishing is really the way to go, in my opinion. Everyone has their preference, but, you know, I've seen a lot of people talk about the bigger publishing houses that want to come in and rearrange your story. They don't like your story, or they don't think that your story has value or quality. So with going the public self-publishing route, you know, you have full creative control over your project. And what I loved about Donnie and Shamira is that they received my vision and then they helped me bring it to life. They were supportive, very professional, wonderful customer service, and they kind of like hold your hand through the entire process. But I must say, it's a collaboration now, because you just can't give them the stuff. You have to have your input, you know.
Yeah.
It's a dialogue that's going on a daily basis, a back and forth communication about, you know, everything coming together. So if they send you an email with some revisions, you know, it's best that you respond, that you give your input so that you can keep the process going and fluid. But they're amazing. I really appreciate them. They rolled out the red carpet for me, in my opinion. And it just was a true blessing to work with them.
I love it. Hang tight. We're going to wrap up our conversation with Ginger Smith, first-time author. She has a great book, a great children's book. We're going to wrap up that conversation right after this.
So you just finished binge watching that entire TV series? Now it's time to binge listen at WordRadio.com. Check out our archives of WURD on demand and listen to some of the most memorable moments from your favorite hosts. Word Radio on demand. Check it out right now at WordRadio.com/podcasts.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let Word Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
You're listening to The Source with Tiffany Bacon on Word Radio. Streaming live on WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Breathe.
Yeah, this a revolution in our time. Everybody's fighting, change coming, yes. That's why it's an acronym for riot. Everybody has a voice. Don't you dare stay silent. If you say nothing, you are an accessory to violence. Let these words that are tears of our people that are crying. We can bring back hope, but not the people that are dying. It's what happens when the people you repress ask for change in the country that they built, but you've ignored and denied. This is Sandra Bland, George Floyd, and every single family. Police brutality has intervened in and destroyed. Couple bad cops can't define all you other boys. So every good cop needs to stand up and make some noise. Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter because we can't avoid. So let's all come together, join hands, and just get annoyed at people who believe racism makes sense in a country built up minorities, slave work employed. Nobody's born racist, man. It's something you learn deep rooted in your brain from the day of your birth. I think it's time that we repair all of these bridges we burned and let love out of our hearts onto the cheeks we've turned. Spread love, show love. Let's get rid of this curse. Don't wait for anyone to act. Man, you go first. 400 years wasted. Let's get rid of this hurt, because that's the only way we'll ever see peace on earth.
I can't breathe.
Music that is featured on the Black Lives Matter Word playlist. You can get access to the playlist through our newsletter. If you do not receive our newsletter, please go to our website, WURDradio.com, add your email address, and you'll receive the newsletter and the weekly playlist curated by my producer, Miss Kayla J. Welcome back to the program. It's The Source here on WURD. I'm Tiffany Bacon here with Ginger Smith, first-time author. She has an awesome book called Niles Surprise Discoveries. We had a question about your publisher again. What's the name of your publisher again?
D as in David, G as in girl, self-publishing.
DG Self-Publishing. Now, how does that work? When you reach out to them, you say, hey, I have a book. Can you work with me? Then what? Do you have to put up money? Is there some kind of negotiation? What does your promotion look like? Do they do the promotion, or is it a split? Give us the haps in 5 minutes.
Ooh, okay. Yes, it's definitely a process. It is by contract. They have various packages that you can choose from. The packages include, of course, your editing of your manuscript if that's needed, your illustrations, your cover art, getting your ISBN number, and all those important things. But you do start with an interview. You come up with an agreement as to what package you want, and then you submit your materials to them if you have them, or you develop them. In my case, I was kind of already ahead in that process because I had a completed manuscript. So I think that definitely kind of gave me a boost as I was well ahead of the game. Once you're done and you've made your final payment, you have total rights to all of your illustrations in your project. They don't retain the right to that. It does belong to the author, which is amazing. And then they set you up post-production in terms of having, your website, an email where your readers and followers can follow up with you. They help to set up your social media. And they also provide an exit interview, which I will be having with them, I think, in the next week or so, where they're just looking to get feedback about your process. What's your assessment of how they did, how well it went, what they could have done better, and if you have any final pressing questions as you go into authorship. And I just want to say real quick, Tiff, that it doesn't just stop there with doing the book. There's a whole other phase that comes with the marketing and the promotion and the long term. And that's what I'm learning now. Like, I just ordered mailers so that all those lovely people that have supported me thus far with the pre-orders, you can get your book in a timely fashion. Yes. So that's going to be my weekend project with the children, to start putting the labels on the mailers now. That way, when the books come, we can get them out as promised. So awesome. It's going to be a family affair.
Awesome. I love hearing that. And I love hearing your journey. This is great. I'm so glad that you stuck with it, that you see it. And then when you found this publisher, it was able to happen in months, not years. Like, it wasn't a delay. You were able to get right to it.
Yes, and that's why I encourage people. I made a post on my personal page yesterday just encouraging those, because I can't begin to tell you how many folks have reached out to me that are on a similar path, that are either stuck or don't know how quite to get started. And, part of my experience is then to share and just be transparent with others. I'm not an expert per se, but I know a few things, and if I can encourage somebody to, obtain their goal of being an author just as myself, I'm willing to do that and excited to do that, because that's what it's all about, us helping one another.
I know that's right. Please share your information so people can stay in contact with you and, of course, find out how to get the book.
Okay, well, I want to first give a shout out to my PR guru, Chris Weaver. Chris has been holding me down, pulling me off the ledge. He is a Temple fellow grad, as you know.
Yes.
He's been amazing, and I just want to shout him out for being such a source of comfort, and he's anchored me down in this process. It's good to have someone in your corner to bounce ideas off of, to encourage you, to be the voice of reason when you're trying to figure all this out. And I also want to shout out Miss Pat McQueen Smith, who created my Nile style. People have seen him on social media. He's like a replica of my main character, Niles. He's in hot demand, but Miss Pat is not making any, because Miss Pat is working on her own projects right now. But I'm thankful to have him. You'll be seeing him as I begin to do virtual reads and just promote the book. But in ways you can get in contact with me, my email is authorgingerSmith@dgselfpublishing.com. And as far as my social media handles, you can find Nile Surprise Discoveries on both Facebook and the Gram. So Facebook and Instagram would be Nile's Surprise Discoveries. And on Twitter, which I'm still trying to figure out, I haven't quite got my niche there. Maybe you can give me some pointers, Tiff. But
Sure.
On Twitter, it's a little different. It's still in the same ballpark. It's just Surprise Niles for the Twitter handle.
Okay, Surprise Niles on Twitter. That's how they can follow you on the book. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It is a pleasure to see you, and it's a pleasure to see you put your baby out there for all of us to enjoy.
Thank you. Totally indebted to you. I appreciate this opportunity, and I want to thank everyone for their encouraging words and support and purchase of my first children's book. I really appreciate you all.
You are awesome. All right, Miss Ginger, thank you so much. Hey, don't touch that dial. More wonderful ladies coming up. We're going to talk to the sisters behind the Uniquely You Summit. Do you know about it? If you don't, you're going to find out in a moment. Stay with me. We'll return after this.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation? Follow us on social media using the hashtag onWURD. Be heard. Stay connected to Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49. Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
You heard what I said about me getting on the radio?
Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
I feel like telling my story now. Y'all gonna pray with me while I tell my story? Huh? There's a friend that called me up the day after the disaster in New York. And she said, Sister Norwood, she said, the Lord has done it again. Let me tell you a little bit about this friend. I've been knowing her for a long time. She worked at the World Trade Center for 26 years. Her name is Sheila Jenkins. And the morning of the tragedy, she worked on the 84th floor of the South Tower, the first one that was hit. But the morning of the disaster, she wasn't feeling well, and she said, I'm not going in today. Don't hold it. And she thought about, she usually gets to work at 8:30, y'all. And she thought about she had to catch up on some paperwork. So she said, I better go in. So a little after 9, when she picked up her keys to get ready to go out the door, a news bulletin came on the TV. And she saw where her tower had been hit. She sat back down. She just dropped back down in her seat. She told me, said, Sister, know what? I dropped back down in my seat. She said, and I sat there and I went to praising God. I went to praising God. I went to praising God for my life and for a miracle. Wait a minute. And she said about that time the telephone rang and her husband called from his job because he just knew she was at work. And when she picked up the phone, said he just hollered, thank you, Jesus! Wait a minute. She said, I feel this thing here. She said, not only that, she said, but then some of her church members called and said when she picked up the phone, said they just knew she was at work and said they just were just speaking in tongues. Said, thank you, God, thank you, hallelujah. Come on, God, tell your story. Come on. And Sheila called and gave me that testimony. And tonight I'm sharing it with y'all.
Welcome to today's edition of The Source here on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and streaming live on WURDradio.com. I'm Tiffany Bacon. I am your host. Thank you for joining me. Today is the 19th anniversary of 9/11. That is not our focus today, but it is something that we are going to acknowledge at various times throughout the show. The music you just heard was from Dorothy Norwood, definitely talking about a story of someone who just missed that awful event. There were a lot of stories like that. I was just telling my producer, Kayla J, off mic. I had a producer at the time who told me about how she narrowly missed being in one of the towers when that happened. She woke up late that day and did not get to New York on time, and therefore she missed the whole event. Welcome to today's program. It is all about the ladies, though. I want to introduce you to some amazing women. Some women you may have already met. You may know what they're doing, and they're doing great things. Some you may not, but all are fabulous. And my next guest represent an organization called the Uniquely You Summit. I have joining me the founder of the Uniquely You Summit and one of the former participants. We have Shalia Sutton and my namesake, Miss Tiffany Coles. Good morning, ladies. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Yes. Tiffany, I think you might be muted. I want to make sure I hear you clearly, sis.
Oh, that's Shalia.
That's me. Hey, sorry about that, Tiff. Good morning. How are you?
That's all right. I am breathing on schedule. Thank you both for being here this morning to talk about the wonderful work that you're doing. Got to ask you this first question in light of the anniversary of 9/11. Shalia, where were you on this day?
It's crazy that you asked me that.
Yeah.
I was abroad. I was in London. So I was 6 hours ahead of everybody else. And I remember being in a museum, and a curator said to me after asking a question to him, he said, "Are you American?" I guess from my accent, and I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Do you know what's happened in your country?" And I'm like, "Huh? I have no idea." So that's where I was, and I ended up staying. I was there abroad, and I stayed the next 6 months, and life changed. When I came back to the United States, life had changed as I knew it. So that's where I was, and on this day, I choose to really just continue to practice gratitude. In this year of 2020, just continuing to practice gratitude.
Yeah. Amen on that. Amen on that. Miss Tiffany, you are a young lady. I'm not quite sure if you were here yet on this day 19 years ago.
I was actually 3 years old.
Wow.
And what is so ironic about 9/11 for me was at the time I was signed to an agency in modeling. And so I was in that morning supposed to be going to get my cast taken off and then traveling to New York
Wow.
for a casting call. And we hit some traffic, and next thing you know, on the radio, it was like, the towers were bombed. And I just remember my parents like in hysteria. I was with my dad at the time, and my mom was at work. And so she's calling frantic, like, "Where's my baby? Is my baby in New York?" So I remember this day for that reason specifically. And then once we got home, watching the second tower be hit. So,
Yeah.
I actually do.
Wow. And that's crazy. You're 3 years old and you have such very, very vivid memories of that. Yeah. It was a heavy day. And like I said earlier, it feels like a lifetime ago. There was so much about our life that was going on then that really is not how we do life now. There was no Facebook then. We had internet, but there was no Facebook. There was no social media. Not like that. I don't even think we had MySpace. If we did, it might have just came out. I barely remember. You know what I'm saying? So there's the way we did life was so different. So let's talk about this journey that you have had, Shalia, from 2001 to now. What were you doing then? And at what point on that spectrum did you decide to start the Uniquely You Summit?
This is wow, this conversation. I mean, I see Tiffany smiling on the Zoom. Tiffany, this moment was pivotal for me. It is part of the journey as to why Uniquely You was created, which is interesting. We were the very first class, a class of 2002, at Spelman College. Every graduating senior that year from college had nowhere to go. Like there were no jobs, we couldn't do anything. So similar to the class of 2020, and there not being any jobs for them, and the world shut down and life is shut down, a lot of us came home. And I say to Tiffany all the time, I wouldn't have created Uniquely You if that hadn't happened. And so I encourage her. It's just so ironic that here I met her when she's 11 and now she's sitting next to me at almost 23, the co-chair of Uniquely You. I said to her, lean in to this time, lean into this experience, because God is positioning you to do exactly what it is that you were supposed to do. I mean, Tiffany, I was supposed to be, after I graduated that May, this was September 2001, the first class to come out of college was going to be, those that graduated that upcoming spring, which would have been the class of 2002, which was my class. I had a job lined up in New York, ironically. I got a call probably shortly after I returned from London, which was like January, February. And, I no longer had that job. And for those of us that didn't apply to grad school or didn't, position ourselves to go to grad school, and we're really looking forward to working, coming out of college, we didn't know what to do. And so similar to the class of 2020, it was life shifting. Yeah. And so if anybody knows, Spelman College is in Atlanta, Georgia. I came home back to Philadelphia and a few years later started Uniquely You. I would have never done that. My life would have been on a different path. I would have been doing something different. I knew what it is that I wanted to do, but because there were no jobs, I wasn't in a position to do it. So 9/11, ironically, is such a huge part of the reason why I got started, and, you know, putting me in the position to get started, rather.
Yeah. I love hearing that. And I love how you lean into Tiffany to talk about how now you're a co-chair and you were a participant at age 11. Let's talk about that journey. How did you first hear about the Uniquely You Summit when you were 11, and why did you join?
So one of my good friends at the time, I went to J.R. Masterman, and one of my classmates and her mom were really close to my mom. And they said, you know, there's a summit for girls, and I think Tiffany and Tiana should go, and I think they'll have such a good time. And so I remember my mom like, you want to go? I said, okay, sure. Sign me up. You know, we'll give it a try. And I tell Celia all the time, I just remember getting there and it just being like, wow. Like, the experience of being in the presence of 500 other Black girls, you know, not knowing necessarily maybe why we were there, but being so grateful that we had that opportunity to be in that space of other Black girls. You know, my magnet school at the time, there were Black children, but it wasn't a lot. So seeing the representation in that large number was just like, it was life-changing, you know? Yes. And it was something that I looked forward to every single fall, you know? I made so many great friends there. I have lifelong sisters, and just the lessons that we learned at the summit, that, you know, it was okay to use your voice, that your voice mattered, that everything about you was divinely purposed by God and for a reason. So just hearing that at such a young age was just like life-changing. And I look at the vision of Uniquely You, and I think that's exactly what it was for me at 11 years old, changing the way I thought about myself, being exactly where I was, you know?
Let's talk about that vision. I love hearing this. Let's talk about that vision. And I want to give you, my awesome audience, an opportunity to call in, chime in, ask questions of our guest today. 215-634-8065. That's how you can reach us. Also, we are streaming live on our Facebook page. You can check that out and post your comments there or questions there as well. We look forward to hearing from you. So let's talk about that initial vision, Shalia. What was that, and what was the very first summit like?
Ooh, oh man. The very first summit, we weren't even a nonprofit yet, which is interesting. The very first summit, I actually borrowed the nonprofit status of my alma mater, of Spelman College. And I said, I have this idea. It was like a one-pager at the time. And I said, what do you all think? And they were like, this sounds like a good program. It sounds like something we can get behind. I said, you know, let's just try it. Maybe we'll get, 100 girls to, participate, maybe 200 if we're lucky. And, as you were talking about Tiffany Bacon, as you were talking, you were saying that, there was no social media and things like that. And so, Facebook was brand new. MySpace was sort of fading out, but Facebook was new. Twitter was like, super brand new. And I can remember, we had a website and didn't know how to work it. This was before there were templates and Squarespace and all of that. And I had a graphic designer or web designer who went on spring break. He went on spring break when we were supposed to close registration. I had to wait 7 days. In that time, Tiffany Bacon, we had 500 girls register in that time. And I remember reaching out to a friend of mine, and they were like, well, you can't turn them away. You're just going to have to figure it out and make room for 540 girls, something like that had registered. And so the experience of seeing them, and, I always say this, I'm like, Spelman College is the gift that keeps on giving. It is an experience that I wish that every Black girl on the planet could have. It is such a pivotal experience. And I wanted to bring a little bit of that. A bit of that confidence, that purpose, that understanding of, yes, this is the narrative, this is the way the world thinks of you, but you are so much different than that. You are, so much bigger and brighter than what the world has told you. And so I could not talk about Uniquely You without talking about my Spelman College experience. And so that's how it started. I mean, I was so emotional the day it happened, just seeing them. It felt like in droves walk through the door. And that was before we were even on a college campus. That was 2010. We were at Springside, and to see them 50 at a time, 100 at a time, walk through the door, and the volunteers that we had at the time, just embracing them with so much love, and just welcoming them with so much grace. It was beautiful to see. And we just kept on keeping on after that. After that, it was 500 girls on a college campus every single fall.
Amazing. What was your experience like, Tiffany Coles? What did you do when you got there? Like, what was set up for you for the day?
Well, I remember first thing you do is you go to your registration table, you get your name tag, you get your swag bag, and that was super cool.
Yes, swag bag.
First of all, you had the registration team greeting you, and then you get ushered into a space with the 500 girls. So whether it was a large auditorium or a large conference area. And I think that's, like I said, the part that changed my life, just looking around to your left, to your right, in front, and behind you, and just seeing so many beautiful Black girls, all different, all amazing, just like all here to glean from each other. So we would have our welcome, whether it was from Miss Shalia, and then whatever fun thing we would do next, a singer, a speaker, someone to just get us excited for the day. And then into a large session, primarily based on, the themes and the work of Uniquely You. Or we would have our Girl Exchange program, which is where I feel, for me, was the most life-changing, where I met some of my best friends still to this day, where the small, intimate group sessions for girls grouped by the same age and same grade to be able to have a safe space to talk. And us, being able to do that, I think, was really important from a young age, not necessarily having that outside of UIS. So think September, you're just going back to school. You might have friends at school already, but you might not. It was like the perfect time, the perfect setting, and the intimacy of it was just perfect.
I love this.
That was, and then you would get to go back to the large group of 500, and you're like, oh, what did y'all talk about at GXC? This is what you guys, okay, yeah, this was in my session. What do you look forward to tomorrow? So it was just always like, I feel like, I know for me, Saturday night, I didn't really sleep because I was so excited, looking forward to Sunday. Like, oh, I can't wait to get, like, come on, Mom, we gotta go.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love seeing, even now, we're talking about how many years later, and you still seem as excited about the memory of that as clearly you were when you were experiencing it firsthand. When you started this, Shalia, this was not long before Black Lives Matter started. Right. We weren't seeing the same type of marching and social justice work as we're seeing now. It was different back then. Is that something that you talked about with the young ladies? Was that part of the platform? If not, when did it become part of the platform?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I say to people a lot, I get excited about the fact that I see so much love and the outpouring of Black humanity wanting to be respected or just humanized, Blackness just being humanized. But I remind people all the time, I'm like, we've been at this work a long time, 10 years. And that's where, interestingly enough, like unapologetically came from. Like, we unapologetically serve Black girls. I've had people for years say, you would have so much more support. You would, raise a lot more money if you just did this for girls. And if you just did this for girls, or maybe even, why not, you say Black, how about just saying girls of color? I mean, and I've been adamant for 10 years, this work is for Black girls without apology. There will be no I'm sorries. This work is for Black girls. And I always felt that because I was emboldened to feel that way from my Spelman College experience. Yeah. And I find that girls sometimes can't assign language to the feelings that they have about being Black, or some of the things that happen to them in school settings, in other organizations that they might be a part of. And when I got to my alma mater, it was like, oh, there's real language to my feelings and experiences. And so it's always been for Black girls without apology. And it will continue to always be for Black girls without apology.
Fantastic. Want to take some calls? You can reach out to us at 215-634-8065. Let's go to line 1 and speak with Marla. Marla, good morning. You're live on air.
Good morning, my sister Tiffany. Good morning, my sister Shalia. Good morning, my forever cover girl, Tiffany Cole. I am just, you guys have given me so much energy. And it made me recall that, like, volunteering for the summit, that we as the women who were imparting into the girls, we got healing. And that this is an intergenerational exchange, that as we go back and are vigilant to protect, to give language, to empower, to make space for our young girls, that we can go back and heal ourselves. And so, you know, I just wanted to chime in. I just wanted to send some love. I'm so excited that on, you know, the heels of all that's going on from a place of unrest and ill in our communities and in our world with the multi-level pandemic, that this is what is taking UIS to the world, that we will be able, you know what I mean, like just to see the vision grow, to know the labor pains, and it's just remarkable. So I know it isn't always easy, and I know you're seeing it from a different side, Tiffany Cole, but just keep going and know that you have an army behind you.
I love that.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you so much.
Yes, love that. Stay inspired. Continue to inspire. Look at y'all. Inspiring people, whether they're working with you, working for you, coming to it, parents of young women who are coming to the event. You continue to inspire. How does that feel? I'll start with Tiffany on this one.
So what's interesting enough is like the first, so Shalia called me November of 2019 with this ask to be in this official capacity. And I remember then just shocked, you know, very, 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 very grateful, because for me, I think back, I don't remember what my life was before Unique Lead. I think the past 10 years of being involved, it was always like, this was family. This was the foreverness. Like you hear Miss Marla say, my forever cover girl, we talk often, like relationships and connections that I've built from this are my family. So the past, like, I'd say once we started really doing work with UIS in February, March, April, May, I would cry all the time while we were like planning the events, having conversations. It was just like, because for me, it was both gratifying. It was just so special to know that this is what these women would dedicate their lives to make this experience for me. The experience that made me who I am. I now get to do the work to do it for the next generation. It was just like a mind-blowing thing I had to work through, and it was so emotional. And I was just like, wow, God, like you knew when I was 11 years old that this would be now 10 years later, you know, in a global pandemic, still persevering to do this work that matters so much now for this next generation. It's to me, there are no words. I was asking Shalia, what is a word? I said, there is no word. You know, it's just the highest honor that I could even think to have, you know, doing this.
I love it. All right, we're going to continue our conversation. I want to speak with you about looking forward to the upcoming UIS Summit and how you are addressing and feeling about the high level of anti-Blackness in our country and our world. So we'll talk about that and more when we come back after this.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
No fear, just facts. This is WURD, Independent Black Media.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Come on out and become a Word Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun. Call 215-425-7875. That's 215-425-7875. Come on out and become a Word Radio member one by one. Renew your membership or get a new one. Get serious information and have some fun.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
I'm hanging on by a thread, and all I'm clinging to is prayers. And every breath is like a battle. I feel like I ain't come prepared. And death's knocking on the front door. Pain's creeping through the back. Fears crawling through the windows, waiting for them to attack. They say don't get bitter, get better. I'm working on switching them letters. But tell God I'ma need a whole lot of hope, keeping it together. I'm smiling in everyone's face. I'm crying whenever they leave the room. They don't know the battle I face. They don't understand what I'm going through. The world trying to play with my soul. I'm just trying to find where to go. I'm trying to remember the way. I'm trying to get back to my home. But I can't do this on my own. That's why I'm just trusting in you. Cause I don't know where else to go. And I don't know what else to do.
Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on.
They say fear haunts you, and pain hates. I say pain strengthens, and fear drives faith. And I don't know all of the outcomes, don't know what happens tomorrow. But when that ocean of doubt comes, don't let me drown in my sorrow, and don't let me stay at the bottom. I feel like this hole is too deep to climb. I've been looking for a way out, but I settle for a peace of mind. Picking up the pieces of my life and hoping that I put together something right. Tell me all I got is all I need. Tell me you gon' help me stay and fight. The world tryna play with my soul. I'm just tryna find where to go. I'm tryna remember the way. I'm tryna get back to my home. But I can't do this on my own. That's why I'm just trusting in you. Cause I don't know where else to go. And I don't know what else to do.
No, don't let the fear make you feel like you can't fight this on your own. You know I'll be there for you no matter where you go. You'll never be alone.
Not done yet. I'm literally on the radio.
Just fight a little longer.
So I'll have to find it after I'm done.
It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you.
Welcome back to this edition of The Source here on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and streaming live on WURDradio.com. Also streaming live on our Facebook platform. Please check us out there. You can see me and my awesome guests. My guests from the Uniquely You Summit are Tiffany Coles, co-chair, and Shalia Sutton, founder of the Uniquely You Summit. Ladies, right before the break, I was asking how you plan to approach and how do you feel about the level of anti-Blackness that we are experiencing in our country and our world.
So, Tiff, I was actually texting Tiffany as we were talking, and there's always been anti-Blackness. It's not new. I mean, there's been anti-Blackness since this country started. It's just overt now, where we were led to believe that it was disappearing, that it was changing, but we were still, Black people, experiencing racism in very covert ways. Whether it was a microaggression or a macroaggression, we were experiencing that. And Uniquely You gives voice and validity to those experiences. You ever have a racist experience and you're like, ooh, that was a little covert, but that hit me in a way, that really affected me. One of the things, Tiff, that that we address all the time is colorism and hairism. We address intersectionality. We introduce all of these girls to these words that are associated with anti-Blackness. We give language to them in their everyday experiences as Black girls. So, as you see things happening in the world, especially someone who does work like we do, and you as well, Tiffany Bacon, you want to just jump up and do something. And sometimes I have to center myself and say, you already are doing the work. Yeah. Even though Black girls are left out of the narrative when it comes to social justice, look at Black Lives Matter. It was created by Black women. 3 Black women. A lot of people don't know that the founders of Black Lives Matter are 3 women, and it was in response to what happened to Trayvon Martin. We're left out of a lot of those conversations. We are still also being killed by the police. We are also still experiencing racism. And sometimes for us, it's a double whammy because it's race and gender, but we're left out a lot of that conversation. But what Uniquely You does, and what we've been doing for the last 10 years, and it's not going to change, is that we center the Black girl. She is most important to us. And so that's how we plan to address the things that are happening, is to continue to do the work, continue to validate the experiences, and teach them how to celebrate who they are, regardless of the narratives that white America creates for Black girls.
I love that. Your response to it, Tiffany, because you have a different perspective.
Well, I truly feel like my co-chair covered it all. But just moving in alignment with what she said, we're really just continuing to persevere and do that, continuing to put forth the work. Because it will be virtual, we're adapting to what we have in this platform, but still staying true to the work put forth by Uniquely You. And we've even been fortunate to conduct some focus groups to find out and learn what is most prevalent to girls in 2020, what they want to know about based on their experiences. So that was really eye-opening for us this year. So we've landed a lot, continuing to focus on colorism, intersectionality, the celebration of Black girls that is needed, because in the spaces they're in, they don't receive that as much. So just continuing to show them that they matter in their whole being, and that we care about them, we love them, and there is a community of other Black girls who love you too. So that's where we are in 2020.
Let's talk about the difference in focus for Black women, for Black girls, in this time that you've been doing it, Shalia, in the 10 years. In what way has it shifted? What has become more important, less important in these 10 years?
Healing has become more important in the last 10 years versus producing successful leaders. Healing, because what I have come to learn as a Black woman, and just the experiences with my peers and elders, is that we can be very successful in our professions and extremely unhealed because of our Black girl wounds and the things that were not validated or addressed as Black girls. So even in our meetings, you know, we created a mentorship wing this year for Uniquely You. And I keep telling them, we are not focusing on career, because if we get them healed, who knows what they'll end up being, right? It's not career development. It is healing and personal development. And so we have a resident therapist now, you know, that's how we have shifted and changed. Like we have she, for the next year, she serves as, Janae Johnson serves as resident therapist to us. And the beautiful thing about this virtual time and this virtual space is, Tiffany Bacon, you've talked to me for many years. One of the things, you know, I've always wanted to do was go national. I've always wanted to take what we've done in Philadelphia and move it to other places. What this virtual space has allowed us to do is go national. You know, some of the programming we've had prior to the summit, which is our flagship program, is we've reached girls in Texas and Minnesota and California. That has been our experience over the last several months. So the work that has been, you know, in Philadelphia, home to Philadelphia, we now get to do it in other places. And the beautiful thing too, Tiff, is that we now get to do it in people's homes. So that, you know, the messages are not just going to the girls and then they're going home to reiterate it. Those messages are resonating in the houses where they live, and their dad gets to hear it, and their mom or grandmother or aunt or little sister who may not be old enough to attend Uniquely You, or big sister who's home from college, or even, you know, brother who is like, okay, I need to, you know, have respect and love, you know, for Black girls and Black women. So we're excited about that this year.
I love it. How about for you, Tiffany, some of the biggest changes in focus as you've matured, as you've attended the Uniquely You Summit over the years?
I think, you know, that is the biggest one, the self-care aspect. You know, we, like Shalia said, our mentorship wing, we're really focusing on self-care being priority and pivotal for the girls this year, you know, because we focus a lot on making sure everyone else is okay, especially as Black women, especially as Black people. We're always the strong ones. We're always the ones who need to have it put together. So we're showing our girls that, you know, that doesn't make you weak, and it's okay for you to pour into yourselves the same way you pour out to others. So, and, you know, advocating for yourself, making sure that agency stays key too, you know, in this society, speaking about what you need, how you need it, you know, your boundaries, things like that have really been priority and pivotal for us in 2020.
Let me ask y'all, and please feel free to call in. We love to hear from you, my awesome audience. If you're watching us on the Facebook live stream, you can post your question or comment. Love to reiterate it on air, or just simply call us, 215-634-8065. The strong Black woman syndrome has been written about a lot in the past few years, and how detrimental it is to us. You just mentioned it, Shalia, about we always have to be the strong ones, and that often means neglect of our own personal health and well-being. If you are sending these great messages to young girls, how are you reiterating that to their moms?
So,
you want to answer that, Tiff?
So another thing Uniquely You has actually added this year is our amazing parent ambassadors. So to help with that process, you know, the girls come and experience such great healing, such great experience, such great knowledge over the weekend, and then you may take it home to individuals who may not be as receptive or who may not know. So one thing we're doing this year, we've developed a parent ambassador wing program, what have you, have offered that to every parent who has registered their girl to attend the summit. So when you register your girl to attend, you have the option to opt into this group that will offer programming, that will offer sessions with Janae, that'll offer intimate conversations on what it is to parent Black girls right now in period. You know, my mom is actually one of our parent ambassadors, and we have an amazing parent ambassador, Danette Quinones Allen. So those two women are working really hard to craft the year of what it will look like to be a parent ambassador, in developing what we're calling a love guide to help their girls, you know, after the summit, talking to the parents about what it is their girls have learned and how you can continue that love, continue that celebration. You can continue that edification for those girls. So we're really excited.
Yes, edification.
I know, right? Snap that. Snap that.
Yes.
We're really excited about our Parent Ambassador Wing. And that's something that we feel is really necessary right now. You know, everyone being at home. It's time for us to all learn from each other. You know, Miss Marla hit it when she said an intergenerational experience. And I feel like that is what this Parent Wing will do too. And it's not just for moms, it's for any caregiver of the Youth Summit girl. So registering your girl to attend this summit, you have the option to opt in. So we're really excited.
Ooh, y'all got it covered. Okay, I love it. We're definitely going to give you an opportunity to tell folks how they can register in a little bit. I know some folks are probably wondering, you know, how can I register? I want to know more. We will get to that in a moment. Healing is the buzzword. Healing is what we keep hearing right now. Twofold question. One, what does healing look like? How does one actually start the process of healing? Second part of the question is, what is the biggest threat to one's healing?
Great questions. So what healing looks like in the Uniquely You world is conversation. When we first started, I remember talking to Araka Roduzandaru, and she said, I was telling her, I said, well, this is what I want to do, and you know, this is what I'm thinking about. And so as I was explaining to her, she so eloquently assigned this language. She said, you want to help eliminate the perception of isolation. And I was like, that's it. I want to help girls understand that you're not alone in your experiences. And so when they get into these intimate groups, it is conversation that heals them. It is someone who is brave enough to say, this is my experience. This is what has happened to me. And then someone goes, I'm not alone in the way that happened to me too, or at least partially that sounds like what's happened to me. And they're encouraged to talk. It's funny because I hear a lot from the Marlas, which was one of the women that called in who's been a volunteer. We have like 100 volunteers, you know, that come in and support and do the work. So when she's talking about that tribe of women, that's who she's talking about. But they say on Saturday morning, they had nothing to say, you know, nobody wanted to talk. And by Sunday, we couldn't shut them up, you know? So it is conversation, you know, it is talking out your feelings. It's getting it out. I mean, we all know as grown women is that when you don't say what you feel or you don't talk about what's going on and it stays, that's a part of your unhealedness. That's a part of the things that cause toxicity and diseases. So for me in this space, it is conversation, it is healing. And also what my co-chair talked about is pointing all the love that we give outwardly, inwardly, putting yourself first. We have something that's called the necessary art of self-care for Black girls. Self-care for us, I mean, more than anybody on the planet, we've got to do that. It is necessary, and it is an art. I mean, as Audre Lorde said, what did she say? Help me out, Tiffany. One of you Tiffany's, help me out. She said that it is oh gosh, y'all are going to have me look for it. Maybe there's somebody on the radio that can help me, but she says it's an act of war. Like it is, that is how vital it is to Black women. I'm going to get that quote when Tiffany goes. What'd you say, Tiff?
An act of political warfare.
There you go. It is. Self-care is an act of political warfare. For us in particular, it is.
Yes. And what is the biggest threat to that?
The biggest threat to that? Self-sabotage. I think not knowing that you are worthy, being told it, and having experiences with it and then not believing that you're worthy. So healing, as I was reminded this morning in a conversation, it's daily, it's every single day. And sometimes our self-sabotage gets in the way of that. You know, if there's something that we decided that we were going to do, you know, whether it's, you know, losing weight, exercising, eating correctly, drinking water, you know, listening more than you talk and going against whatever those plans are, that's self-sabotage. So I think self-sabotage for Black women is if not the greatest, one of the greatest threats to our healing.
What do you think, Tiffany, from your perspective? What does healing look like for you specifically? And what is the biggest threat to your healing?
I would definitely agree with the conversation. And I feel like for me, that's something I'm still working on now at 22, working on, you know, feeling confident enough to use my voice and talk about my experiences that I've had that have made me into the woman that I am today. You know, that in accepting the things that have happened to you is also something that I feel like we have to do more as Black women and people, period, to get healed. You know, accepting that not everything that has happened to you is your fault, but it's your fault to, it's your responsibility rather to then do something about it, to use that, you know, to pray through it, do what you need to do to get through it, seek the help that you need to get through it, whether it be professional or the support of your tribe, and then grow from it, what you can learn. And I feel like self-sabotaging, also just allowing the words of others and the feelings of others to really eat at you. I know for me, that's something I had to push past and learn from in my growing up. So that would be what I would say. And leaning in, like, I think about Uniquely You in that regard, that I went from, you know, in middle school experiencing bullying to being around a community of sisters who wouldn't even think about that, because we were all being poured into in the same manner, and understanding that this is why sometimes Black women, Black people feel the way that they do from being put down so often, you know, from receiving that lack of care, from receiving the short end of the stick. Yeah. So then retraining myself to think past, you know, what I had experienced and work towards the healing of, but it's okay, you know, you are this, you are beautiful, you are brave, you are brilliant, you are these things, not what was told to you.
I love it. Got to pause right here, take another break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our conversation, find out about the specifics of the upcoming Uniquely You Summit, which is happening this year in November. And we're going to give you all the details when we come back after this.
Holistic health information every weekend with Dr. Paul. Saturdays during the Holistic Hour at 9 a.m. and Sundays during the Green Hour at 3 p.m. right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
PHL, this is Councilwoman Sherelle Parker. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census. It brings us funding for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses $21,000 in funds. We can't let that happen. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to www.2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay. Get counted, Philly.
COVID-19, rising infections, red alert levels, and worries about reopening. What can you do? The Germ Killer's two-step products and services disinfect and protect for up to 90 days to give you peace of mind. The Germ Killer's system kills viruses and bacteria on high-touch surfaces in schools, houses of worship, businesses, and public transportation. Decontaminate immediately and keep students, school staff, congregations, or customers safe for months. Go to thegermkillers.com and get the coverage and safety you deserve.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Are you black? Are you white? Are we all the same inside? Father, open our eyes to see we all bleed the same. We're all beautiful when we come together. We all bleed the same. So tell me why we're divided if we're gonna
Said only love can drive out all the darkness. What are we fighting for? Yeah, we were made to carry one another. We were made for more. We all bleed the same. Bleed the same. We're more beautiful when we come together. We all bleed the same. Bleed the same. So tell me why we're divided. If we're gonna fight, let's fight for each other. If we're gonna shout, let love be the cry. We all bleed the same. Bleed the same. Let's stand united. Let's stand united.
So, Father God, I pray.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's the Friday edition of The Source. I'm Tiffany Bacon. Thank you so much for joining me. We are live on air and streaming live on our Facebook page. Thank you for checking us out on either platform. Joining us right now, Tiffany Cole, Shalia Sutton of the Uniquely You Summit, which is returning this November. Please tell us what we can expect at this year's summit.
Tiff, you want to go?
So we are planning the virtual edition of Uniquely You Summit for Girls, which is national this year.
Woohoo!
Excited about that. Yes. So we're planning 3 large group sessions with the girls to happen over the course of 3 days this year. We're doing actually a virtual pajama party on that Friday to have the girls get to know each other, play some games, really just to eliminate, on Saturday, the girls having to get to know each other in girl exchange. So we really wanted to just break them up into their intimate groups to feel comfortable, have some fun, and look forward to what's going to happen during the weekend. We're in the process of booking our really amazing guests. So that is something we're really excited about. And then, as we talked about, our girl exchange will be really the core of the Uniquely You Summit 2020. So just focusing on getting the curriculum surrounding, colorism, hairism, agency, self-care, self-preservation. So that is UIS 2020. And then looking forward to some type of celebration to close it out on Sunday.
Okay.
So we're excited.
A 3-day virtual event. Shalia, this is new, all due to COVID. COVID is pushing us into spaces we have not been on a regular basis, and a lot of people aren't comfortable still being. Do you feel, or are you concerned at all about losing any of that personal connection that you definitely gain by being in the same room with the other young women?
I try not to operate in fear.
Oh, this isn't about fear, but it is
Yeah, it's a valid question. And so that's something I have to say to myself.
Yeah.
Shalia, don't operate in fear, that if you've been brought to this, then, you're going to make the best of it. One of the things that my team and I do is we try to, like last night, we played the games that we're going to have them play. So we try to do a lot of the work on the front end. Does this work? Is it something that would be, transformative or funny? We deal with a lot of heavy topics online, and I really feel like we have an opportunity to shift homes. I think one of the things that virtual does that in-person did not for us is it took the girls a lot of time to get warmed up. For some of the girls coming in person by themselves from, say, Virginia, when we were on Temple's campus or Drexel's campus, that their mom might have drove them up by themselves, and they were sitting alone, and it took them a day and a half to really get comfortable, and they wished the summit was longer. I think what the virtual aspect gives us the ability to do is let girls be comfortable in their own spaces, knowing that no one is partnered, so no one came with a group of girls, that everybody sort of is on the same footing, and having the same experience in their homes, in their bedrooms. I mean, I have a teenage daughter, and it's like her room is her best friend. I'm like, are you going to come out at any point?
Right.
So I think that, them having that intimacy. And then one of the other things that we're planning to do is sending them a kit. It's a weekend survival kit. And so it's going to have all of the things that we would normally give them when they would show up. You know, they're going to get a For the Love of Black Girls t-shirt. They're going to get some inspirational buttons. They're even going to get some snacks to, you know, help them out through the weekend. And then we've got some special gifts, some people who have sent us some really awesome things to put in there. So we're literally sending those packages out all across the nation to every girl that registers. So that's how we're going to stay connected and, you know, hopefully maintain, you know, intimacy with them.
I love it. I love it. Again, this is unique to Uniquely You because of the world of COVID. But moving forward, when we are able to be in person for large events, will you retain any of the online presence in future summits?
Oh, absolutely. I think for a lot of people, what we're learning is, hey, you know, we don't always have to get together, that we can do this in the year of 2020, you know, virtually. So we will definitely do that. And especially to maintain the parts of us that have, you know, reached other places beyond, you know, the mid-Atlantic area. So we will certainly do that. As you know, both Tiffany's, we have cover girls who end up for 1 year being the faces and voices of this work, and they're up and down the East Coast. So, you know, we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose the fact that we've been able to reach girls beyond, you know, where we are physically. So we will absolutely keep those virtual aspects, and hopefully one day do the summit in one of those other places as well.
That sounds awesome. I am so proud of you both. I am grateful that you're continuing this in spite of COVID, in spite of the shutdown. So glad that this is still going on. Tell folks where they can go to register.
Absolutely. So it's uniquelyyousummit.org. uniquelyyousummit.org. uniquelyyousummit.org.
I love it. And do you have social media that people can follow so that they can keep up with any posts and all like that?
We sure do. So you guys can follow us on our Instagram at uniquelyyou, the letter U, Summit. So
Uniquely.
we post a lot of our upcoming programs. There are ways to get involved with us right now. We're actually looking for virtual volunteers to help us facilitate this summit that's happening November 13th through 15th online. Please keep up with us on Instagram at uniquelyyou, the letter U, Summit.
Yes, and we didn't say this, but it is open to girls 11 to 18.
Yes.
So middle and high school. So 6th to 12th grade, it's open to them. We have, you know, appropriate programming for each age group. And, you know, we're going to do what we've been doing the last 10 years and, you know, produce some joyful and healed Black girls.
And can people, if they're interested in volunteering, they can go to either the website or to the social media locations to find out more?
So we just closed one portion of our volunteer portion, but we are getting ready to open up another one. So just stay tuned on social and on our website, and that stuff should be coming up at the end of the month where they'll have opportunities to volunteer. But there's always ways to get involved with our parents and different aspects. So portions are open, other portions are closed, but there's always a way to get involved, and they can email us with anything they'd like to chat with us about, you know, how they want to lend their services, 2020@uniquelyyousummit.org. So 2020@uniquelyyousummit.org.
Fantastic. Shalia, Tiffany, you guys are a joy. Thank you for joining me on the program today. I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate the work that you're doing very, very much.
Tiffany, you are such an amazing storyteller. Just, I mean, no one does it like you. Thank you so, so much. You just have a beautiful way of just getting the story out. And I thank you. I thank you for being such a long time supporter of this work. When no one else would, you know, bring me on, you know, you did. And I thank you so much for just being such a long time lover and supporter of the work. I think the last time the three of us were together, Tiffany was like 12.
Yeah.
So So, you've been in this with us a long time, and I just want to give you my heartfelt thanks for that. Thank you for loving Black girls the way that you do and embracing this organization the way that you have. It means so much to us.
No problem. Never, never a problem. Thank you all so much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, don't you touch that dial. When I told you more amazing women, this show today is all about the ladies. The sisters are doing it for themselves, for sure. Up next, Jasmine Smith with Icons Field Hockey and Lacrosse Team. They have something coming up this weekend that you're going to want to know about. Stay with us. We'll talk to them after this.
Support independent Black media and join the onWURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com. Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Tune in this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. for the Islam Today show with a perspective on moral guidance and Islamic principles and values.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
This is onWURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. Leave him alone! It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream.
I've seen a light that shines from the sun. You're the moon in the night of life. Without you near me, can't see clearly. Oh, so weary. I suffocate and I can't breathe. Hallucinate and I can't see. Resuscitate, can you help me? I'm gasping from fear. I don't can't take me there. I need help. I just wanna live again. I need help. Maybe I can love again. I need help so I can breathe again. Your touch is more than the physical sense.
Happy Friday. Welcome to today's edition of The Source. If you're just joining me, I am your host, Tiffany Bacon, here on WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and streaming live on WURDradio.com. We are also streaming on our Facebook page. I see wonderful folks on the page right now, and I thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your presence. I told you today was all about the ladies. You're going to meet and see and speak with some amazing women doing great things in our community. This next sister is also one doing good stuff. She will be joining us in a moment. But again, if you were just tuning in and you heard us talking about the Uniquely You Summit, if you're on the Facebook stream, you will see a link to the Uniquely You Summit. You can find out more about registration for Black girls ages 11 through 18. So that's grades 6 through 12. The event is taking place virtually. So if you were concerned about the safety of your girls, you don't have to worry about it. They can attend from the comfort and safety of your home. So just go right to uniquelyyousummit.org. Also, my first guest, Ginger Smith, her book, Nile's Surprise Discoveries, is available for you. You can see the link in the chat on our website and actually on our Facebook live stream. You can see the link to that book right now, and you can check out a copy for yourself. It is the 19th anniversary of 9/11. I am asking my guests where they were on that day. The day will live in a lot of people's memories for a lot of reasons. There was a lot of panic, a lot of death. A lot changed. There were different markers throughout the 2000s that marked great change, and that was definitely one of them. I do remember New Year's Eve, 1999, and everybody was buying up the water. That was one of the first times I remember the shelves in the supermarket going bare, people buying up water and everything else because we just thought the world was going to end and life was not going to be the same come January 1st, 2000. January 1st, 2000 happened, and life was regular. That was it. Nothing happened. Life was regular. January 1st, 2000. 2001, though, a lot of things changed. So where were you on this day 19 years ago? When did you first hear about what was going on in New York, in D.C., and then eventually what happened in Shanksville, PA? You can give us a call briefly, 215-634-8065. I know our next guest will join us in a matter of moments. Miss Kayla J., I know you were young, John, but do you have memories of this day 19 years ago?
Yeah, I just remember getting picked up from school super early. I lived across the street from my school, so my cousin came to pick me up, and I was like, why am I going home? I remember because that was the day we had computer class, and I was just like, yeah, hey, I got computer class in about 30 minutes, and all I knew I wanted to play Oregon Trail.
Okay. Okay.
And she was like, your mom told me to bring you home, and I was like, at that point I figured, dang, I must have gotten in some type of trouble, and I was trying to figure out what I had done. But it wasn't until I got home, and then my other cousin came home as well, and we were sitting there watching the news, and I saw the explosions. To me they looked like explosions, but now that I know was, the planes crashing into the World Trade Center, and I had no clue what was going on. My mom was just like, you can't go outside and play, you can't ride your bike, just sit in the house. And that was before I had a PlayStation or anything, so I was one bored little kid. And just remember playing with my dolls all day because I couldn't go outside. And I don't even think I went to school the next day either.
Yeah.
Just being home. I remember that being taken, and that was the first time I heard a helicopter, too, hearing helicopters flying over because we lived in North Philly. Not really realizing back then how close New York was to Philadelphia. And it was just like, what's going on? And my mom was like, just stay in the house.
Wow.
Because I was that kid who was like, I'm going to do what I want to do, woman.
Ooh, well, I would have had 3 teeth left in my head if I did that.
I never
My
said
mother
that, but that was like always my
smacked
attitude.
all my good teeth right out my face. She would have. I already had a problem with being smart, and I got popped a couple times. Okay. It's interesting that you say that. There's so much to remember about that day. I was saying to you off air how the night before, so September 10th, 2001, up in New York, they were recording the anniversary special for Michael Jackson. I guess it was his 30th anniversary in the music business. So a lot of stars were up there. And I had a lot of friends who were in the music business who were in New York at the time. And I remember when it was happening, trying to reach them to see where they were. Like, oh my God, are you anywhere near this? Are you in the subway? Like, where was your hotel? Were you like within blocks of this? Because anything within blocks of that, you know, you're covered in soot right now, or you're just traumatized by being so close to the World Trade Center and the catastrophe. And the fact that you could not make a phone call for a period of time also frightened me. So there was moments of fear where I couldn't reach my mom. She worked downtown in a federal building. So, you know, of course, we're like, we don't know, is Philadelphia about to get hit? There were a lot of questions in the early hours of all this when everyone was just trying to figure out what exactly is going on, how widespread this thing is. And not being able to use the phone, get a call through, just was one of the few times I remember feeling that kind of like world panic. Like I never felt that. You know, I had different levels of anger and panic and concern about other events that happened prior to that, but not to that degree had I ever felt that. So, yeah. Remembering this day from 19 years ago, I want to introduce my next guest. I said we were going to talk to some amazing women. Well, she is an amazing woman, and she is joining us to talk about what's happening with the Icons field hockey and lacrosse team. They're doing something special this weekend. Her name is Jasmine Smith. Good morning. Actually, we're in the afternoon now. Good afternoon, Jasmine. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Tiffany?
I am breathing on schedule. Thank you so much.
I like that.
Yes, ma'am. Got to ask you this question as we remember this day 19 years ago. Where were you?
Oh, my gosh. I was actually in Los Angeles at the time when the news broke. And I just remember going from shopping at the grocery store, and literally everything froze. It was like time stood still.
Yeah.
Then, you know, receiving the news from all different, you know, different people about what was going on, and just scurrying to get home.
Yeah. Yeah. That rush to get home. There was no getting home for me because I was working, and I had to work 13 hours straight that day. I was on air. So I could not escape the news cycle at all. I had to just, you know, soak it up. But there was something about witnessing the trauma of that, of life being lost on TV at that magnitude, just did something that I couldn't undo for a while. It was hard to kind of get back to center seeing that. So, you know, we talk about trauma all the time, and we have experienced a lot of it as Black people, as Black women. We've experienced a lot, and I know you have poured a lot of your lifetime and energy in uplifting young girls through field hockey and lacrosse. So talk about Icons and this work that you're doing in sports.
Thank you. Yeah, Icons is a sports program that is geared towards growing lacrosse and field hockey for African American, Latino, and inner city youth for Philadelphia. We use a strong curriculum that is based upon comedic learning to enhance our children with self-knowledge, something that they would not receive from traditional schools or sports programs. And then we layer that with teaching them the disciplines of eating correctly, you know, with self-esteem building. We do an I am affirmation before every practice And most people are kind of confused because they're like, what does this have to do with sports? And for me, and especially how I was rendered, it's important that you know who you are before you step onto the field or to the court to play. Because in the event, and especially in these, trying times, if someone were to call you out your name, if you don't know who you are, you're going to respond. And so it's all these disciplines to get them prepared, not only to participate playing non-traditional sports, which are really not geared towards us, but to then be able to then excel, going forward.
I love it. I love it. And why did you choose field hockey and lacrosse? Why those two?
Well, I grew up playing them from second grade all the way up until I graduated high school in '95, and I'm 6'1", so basketball was the sport that I chose to play in college, but those two sports did something for me. They gave me a level of access that, traditional sports like basketball and football can never do. I started traveling internationally playing field hockey when I was in 4th grade, and the first country I went to was Denmark. And again, I realized then the pool of opportunities that were afforded, again, per, basketball. And so when I started Icons, I wanted to really give back to the sport, but also grow it, because for me, growing up and playing the sport, it was only like 1 or 2 of us, and pretty much myself. And the numbers hadn't changed, as I got into my pre-adulthood, and that was a problem. And I really felt like there wasn't anything being done on a larger scale. So again, if you want to see the change, you got to be it. And that's when I started Icons.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, clearly you are encouraging the young women not just to play sports and have their voice heard, but to participate in social justice work. So the Walk for Justice, Black Women and Girls Against Police Brutality, that is something that's coming up this weekend, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes.
All right. Tell us more about that.
Well, the girls, when Floyd, when everything happened with George Floyd, the girls were, of course, upset, irate, so many different emotions that all of us were feeling as a country and especially as a community. And the first thing, Coach Jazz, we got to march. And I was just like, okay, Philadelphia's climate was very dangerous in my eyes. And so I said, wow, I think it's a great idea that we march. I want you to march with your family. And then let's figure out some solutionary based, things that we can do as a collective. In terms of, there's no policy or law that protects us. And in that moment, a few of my players then honed in, and they then started the Icons Legal Coalition. This is all they're doing. And so they wanted to create policy and reforms. And for 6 weeks, every day, maybe 2 or 3 days out of the week, they would get on a Zoom call, and then they would start going through their ideas of what they thought should be the next procedure of legislation. And then one of our coaches, who's a good friend and mentor to former Governor Ed Rendell, reached out, and he then said, look, I want to listen to what they have to say, and I want to work with them, and if I believe it, then I will help them get, this passed to the next branch of legislation. And for 2 hours, after the 6 weeks of them meeting with various different persons, having policy workshops, because none of them, including myself, knew how to, draft up a reform. They met with him for 2.5 hours, and he was completely spellbound. He's like, I had no idea. He's like, you guys have put so much structure in place. He's like, I thought it was just going to be a couple of paragraphs and we were going to kind of work from there. And he endorsed them, to go to the next branches of government with his endorsement. And shortly after that, they, knocked on me again. They said, Coach Jazz, we still want to march. And what happened was when Breonna Taylor's murderers weren't arrested, they said something's not right with our system, and especially within our community, because they felt that Black women have been silenced for so long, with the various murders that have gone on. And I said, well, if this is what you want to do, then, we'll support you, but you have to do all the work. That means that you have to organize, facilitate, we're behind you, but now is the work. And so this Saturday, the work that they put into is what they will be doing.
Oh, so let's talk about what is it that they're doing this Saturday and when?
This Saturday at 10 a.m., starting at 33rd and Diamond, Mander Recreation Center, they will start their march, which is for Black women and girls against police brutality and racial injustice. And they will basically be, speaking to the hearts of the community for those Black women and girls, again, who have been silenced. America has always shown that the Black woman is the mule of the earth. Bell Hooks, I believe, or Nikki Giovanni wrote that in one of their books. And it's true, the systematic placement of the Black woman always taking care of the white man, the white woman, the white children, the Black man, the Black child, and herself last, which makes her carrying all this weight. And girls are going to speak to that and also speak for every name that has been, there's like over 80 names with regards to who have been silenced and no justice has been done.
I love it. I love it. Can anyone join them on this one?
Yes, of course. I mean, we would love for you to partake, Tiffany. I don't know if you're, on the station, but, we would love, for people to get out there. One of the things that we always find is that as a community, we always talk about the youth and what they're not doing. And so unfortunately, when you have the youth that are actually doing something productive and proactive and solutionary based, right? You then find that a lot of people aren't supporting. And so this is one time that we can really get behind them because these are the future voters. These are our future educators, our future legislators. The list goes on. And, for them, they realize that their platform from playing sports is highly important, and it gives them a different reach. And they just want to make sure that, justice is served, for the many of Black women and girls that have been silenced.
How are the ladies responding to the fact that school is virtual right now, and that means school sports really aren't happening? How are they dealing with that?
They are not happy. I mean, it's an adjustment, but they are very people. They love to be around, their family, their teammates, and, but they're taking it in stride. They realize that this won't last forever. And then they do have the opportunity to play with us on the weekends and one day out of the week, for practice within COVID guidelines. But it's definitely an adjustment, something that they're working through, but they're also really utilizing the Zoom features to connect with each other in ways that I think a lot of kids could probably look up to.
I love it. Thank you for being an inspiration to the young ladies and getting behind them as they are clearly spearheading this work. Tell folks again about the march tomorrow.
Tomorrow, the march starts at 10 a.m. At 33rd and Diamond at Mander Rec Center. You'll see us right on the corner. And then we'll be walking straight to the Art Museum steps, where we will then start the additional part of the march. And we will be speaking the names and speaking to also reference to racial injustice and the silence of Black women who have been murdered by police in our country.
Fantastic. And how can people keep up with Icons? Can you give us a website or a social media handle?
Yes, so you can check us out on our website at www.eyekonzsports.com, or you can check us out on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn pages as well. And that's EYEKONZ Sports.
Fantastic. Jasmine, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to speak with us today.
Thank you, Tiffany, so much, and we appreciate it, and I hope to see you tomorrow, too.
I'll do my best, but sister is working, so I'm not going to promise. If I'm not working, I will be there.
Okay.
Thank you, Jasmine. Listen, again, don't touch that dial. More amazing women. I want to introduce you to Jennifer Smith. In fact, she was on the show before, but we're going to talk about sisters trying to keep businesses afloat in the time of COVID after this.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your drive home in the happy hour with Sincerely Sarita. Monday through Thursday, 4 till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Right now, the health and financial security of older Americans are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. AARP Pennsylvania wants to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans can vote safely, whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about your voting options, visit aarp.org/PA votes, paid for by AARP.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity. Local 332, Sam Staton Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staton, Executive Director of LESIT.
Livelihood, the new initiative from Word Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. To me, I be work,
Livelihood
work, work,
is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
You're listening to The Source
on Word Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Young, gifted, and black. To be young, gifted, and black. Young, gifted, and black. To be young, gifted, and black.
To be young, gifted, and black and own it. It's more than a moment, it's like the sun rose to condone it. Before we was trapping, we was trapped in. Sun and the whips kissing our black skin. Strange fruit hanging, smell the jasmine. Ride the cold train, listen to jazz then. Back then. We came with names like James, Fatima, Nina, King, Dreamer, Redeemer of the people. Songs for the Hebrew, original, spiritual content. You can smell it when it's God sent. We keep it moving every day, we the target. The young, gifted, and black on the market. Cause of that, we pay with our lives. Or either catching charges, but yo, the goddesses and gods is young, gifted, and black. Goddamn Ferguson, goddamn Staten Island, goddamn Baltimore, goddamn America, damn. I tell you who I am, but you don't understand. Cross the waters I swam, son and daughters of the land. Yeah, we the black sheep, but you slaughtering the lamb. You try to silence with your sirens. Sounds of violence do nothing but divide us. Evolution of revolution, retribution is due us. The old ways of the U.S., it ain't the new us. Tell them we the stars, they can't shoot us. From prisons and wars, you can no longer recruit us. Salvation is due us even before we came. God knew us. God knew us. Yeah, God know us.
I've been walking
with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Music from Cynthia Erivo, who played Harriet in the film released in 2019. That sister definitely has a voice. Welcome back. Wrapping up today's edition of The Source here on WURD. I'm Tiffany Bacon. Thank you so much for joining me. My next guest is not a stranger to the show. She has appeared on the show before, and we're bringing her back to talk to at least one business owner with how they are staying afloat in the time of COVID. I welcome back to the program Jennifer Smith. Hi, Jen. How are ya? Uh-oh. I don't hear nothing. Are you muted, sister girl? You look fabulous. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
It looks like we're having some connection issues because you're definitely in delay right now. So we're going to try and get you up and running. In the meantime, if you wanted to find out more about any of our previous guests, please go on over to our Facebook page and you can see what was posted in the chat section, so you can keep up with our author, with icons, and also with Ginger Smith. She was our author. Also with Uniquely You Summit. That's who I was not mentioning in the last moment. All right, Jen, are you up and running? Let's see if we got you on here. Can you hear me? I just love technology. I can see your face, but I cannot hear your voice. So we're going to try and see if we can reconnect you. In the meantime, I want to talk briefly about, we're going to get Jen on here because we want to hear what she has to say. So there is a film that I cannot wait to see, but it is doing the circuit of film festivals right now, and I believe most of them are virtual. But there's some Oscar buzz around the film Last Night or One Night in Miami. Look for that. If you don't know anything about this film, try to Google it. We can't see it yet. I don't know when we are going to get a chance to see it. I am very interested in it. But it is a fictional story about one night where Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke all spent an evening together in Miami, and what happened in that evening. Now, they didn't know each other, and this film is the directorial debut of Regina King, who is fantastic. We were just talking about Regina King off mic because she was a part of the reimagined Golden Girls, which happened online on Zoom, as a matter of fact, on Monday. She played Dorothy character on the reimagined Golden Girls on Monday. But this is her directorial debut, and it's getting some Oscar buzz already. Philly's own Leslie Odom Jr. plays Sam Cooke, and if there is at any point in that film where he gets to sing any of Sam Cooke's songs, I'm sure I will turn to just butter on the floor because I love his voice. He is fabulous. But look for that. That's getting some Oscar buzz, and I can't wait for it to be released so that we all can see this film. Also, big ups to Regina King because she's making sure that Black folks and women have the opportunity to work behind the scenes on Hollywood films and not just on screen. So, trying to get Jennifer Smith back up and running. Hopefully, Jen, are you there? I think you're there.
I'm here. I think I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, Diva. I love technology. It's all good. Welcome. You look fabulous. How are you?
You are very kind. I'm wonderful. Glad to be in the land of the living. Glad to be making it. All that good stuff. How are you, sis?
Honey, I am breathing on schedule. So, that means I'm good. I got to start off in acknowledgement of today's anniversary. Where were you on this day 19 years ago?
This was a day at work, or at least I thought it was going to be a normal day at work. I was working downtown at 20th and Market, and I thought everything was normal and, heard a little bit of buzz begin amongst my coworkers that something had happened in New York, but nobody was moved right away. And then suddenly you realize something really horrible happened, and then suddenly you realize there was a terrorist in the land. And what began as a normal work day turned into a horrifically terrifying moment where we wondered if we could take the elevator to leave. We wondered where our loved ones were. Signals were down everywhere. Telephones were pointless at that moment. You were looking for your children. I had my oldest now, who is 23, was in daycare, thank God, very close. So I was able to rush off and get him. It was just a scary moment. I remember running down the stairs. We were on the 15th floor. I'll never forget. And we had heard that, those in the tower could not get out, and so it was just a scary moment. I just remember praying every second that I could get to my baby. I was praying every second that I could get home, and I just wanted to find my folks. I was like, God, just let me find my folks. And you didn't know the vastness because you couldn't really reach enough people to find out what was really happening, but you knew something horrible had happened. And then you heard that more was happening. Then you heard that it was in another area, and they were all in the vicinity of Philadelphia, like not that far. It wasn't like it was, so far. You were like, oh, this, maybe everything's okay. It was right here. So you didn't know if Philadelphia was next. And it was just this terrifying feeling, and you just hugged your loved ones. I remember just going home and hugging my son and just being so utterly grateful to have him. Calling my mother and going over there. It was just a lot. It was an intense day. I remember just crying and crying, as news was revealed, and you're holding your breath, it was a lot. And then you find out that your friends from New York, are affected. You find out that your friends, people didn't make it, and it's just you're so confused. You're so confused, and yet at the same time, in prayer, I just was praying the entire day. So crying and praying. I concur. I concur. That was definitely the case over here as well. 2001 seems like a lifetime ago. As I mentioned with my previous guest, we didn't have social media. If you had a cell phone, there certainly was no camera attached. There was no text messaging attached. In fact, I had, it's taking a line from Jay-Z, I had a Motorola two-way pager at the time. And that is how text messaging happened. You had a whole different device and a whole different bill. How we did business was different back then. Completely. And here we are in 2020, all this fabulous technology, and yet still life stood still for a moment. So the last time you visited us, you were talking about, it was early on into the pandemic. Lots of, I don't know, we're just trying to figure it out. Now that we're months into the fall, almost at the end of the year, how have you managed knowing that, okay, this is going to last longer than we initially thought, and this is how we've made the adjustment? The adjustment is the very word. I think that's the 2020 real word for the year. I think it's adjustment. We have completely overhauled all of our plans, as the rest of the world has, frankly. And as a business owner, my husband and I took on, getting this restaurant, thinking one way it was going to happen, and the pandemic has completely shifted everything. But, one thing I love is that God makes us resilient. He helps us to adapt. and we have been able to push through the paperwork. Like, those who own businesses know what I'm saying. It has been a situation where something used to be simple to get a piece of paper, take it down to City Hall, get your little stamp, and go home. Everything is different now. We had to go through. When you get here, pull over in your car. We'll tell you when you can get out. You're getting a text on your phone that says you're number 17 in line. We'll let you know when you can enter the building. They meet you like security is like over the top. And they were like, "What are you doing here? Do you have an appointment? Prove it." Like it was crazy.
Wow.
But I tell you, we were able to push through the process. We did not give ourselves the option to fail, and in terms of not meaning that things can go wrong, and not meaning that you don't get frustrated, but meaning that the frustration didn't allow us to give up on this dream. And as a result, we our official grand opening is tomorrow. And so,
wow.
Our restaurant, has been blessed with a lot of work. Yeah, I can't even say how God has just really just touched the situation. With things like deliveries not coming on time, and places that used to be open are closed that we thought were going to be used as resources, and and trying to find a way to touch the community, because the community is still reeling from COVID, and having to put up no mask, no entry signs. And our chefs have to cook with masks.
Yeah. Uh-oh. We're losing some of your audio. We're having some technical difficulties. We're going to make sure that we can hear you. So let's try that again. Uh-oh, you're freezing.
So it's really, you need enough. And they can put that, our garden area is, okay.
Yep, and you're back.
Are we good?
I think so, at least now.
I'm going to keep talking. We're on the move. I think we'll be static for a second. We'll be parked in just a second, but we'll call from the car. But, yeah, it was just a real situation, and it has been a learning experience and adaptability, and a learning experience also in not wearing the things of this real tight. That's an expression, but it's an expression that really is well for all of us in this time of pandemic, which is not being so tightly wound to things that if things don't work out the way you want, or if a situation changes, or if you don't get the result you expected, you fall apart. So, it's really learning how to wear things loosely is the expression. And you really say, okay, that didn't work. I can no longer do it that way. What's my plan B? And having a plan B isn't easy. It's not fun either. Like you want to go visit all your family. You want to tell everybody, let's meet for a family picnic. Let's do this. Let's do that,
Right.
And all the things that used to be really normal, they're gone. So business like this doesn't feel like you would have expected it to once upon a time, but we had to kind of let go of some of those expectations, and really just say, we have to do this business the way that is optional for us, a way that works in the times that we're in, and allow ourselves to have some adaptability. You know what I mean? And that's where the grace kicks in. That's where the good moment can come, is where you say, okay, how can I adapt to make this still a special situation?
I want to talk. I know I have to take a break. I might as well just get ready to take the break now, because if I go into this question and you start the answer, we're going to go over time. So I'm going to take a break. But when we come back, I want to find out how you're managing this and now online learning for the kids. How do you balance both starting a new business and being there for the children as they are learning online? Stay with us. We'll continue our conversation after this.
Weather and traffic to keep you informed for your morning commute on Wake Up with Word. Weekdays 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. hosted by Solomon Jones. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. The Word Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility, leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
You're listening to The Source on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
I've never been who I want to be, never felt completely free. No one's ever had all of me. Made me feel so beautiful and sexy. Now I'm flying like an airplane. Now I'm riding on an open range. Now I'm living out my destiny. I know the truth, I got it all in you and me. I'm giving myself all to you, body and soul. I'm giving it over. I'm giving myself over to you now, like a brand new day. Now you and I, with a face of faith. Ain't nobody got nothing to say, no. And from my feelings, I never have to run away no more. 'Cause he's here, holding me tight. Every day and night, oh, baby, can't you see? I don't want to be without you anymore. Oh, I'm giving myself over to you, body and soul. I'm giving it over. I'm giving myself over to you. Stand in front of someone. Finally, I can be me. I can just let my love spill over. I can cry. I don't have to lie. I can finally let someone all the way inside. All the way. All the way. All the way. Myself over to you, body and soul. I'm giving it over, giving myself over to you. I'm giving myself over to you, body and soul. I'm giving it over. I'm giving myself over to you. I never loved nobody else.
And welcome back to today's edition of The Source. I'm Tiffany Bacon. Yes, I told you we were going to stay inspired by all these amazing Black women on the show today. Jennifer Smith joining us again. I had to ask you before the break, give you a chance to think about how you are managing to start a new business in the time of COVID and be with your children as they learn online. And I see your head shaking, so I know there's a story. I know there's an inspirational story because the children are learning and the business is happening. So how are you managing that, Diva?
Ooh, Jesus. Okay, so first of all, let's just say that's a whole party by itself. That whole combination you put right there, that's called a party. Girl, first of all, first giving honor to God, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that day one of virtual, we didn't do too bad. You know, we're pretty tech savvy. Thank God our district was pretty on top of things.
Okay.
You know, I did all the parent orientations, good stuff, you know, pre-meetings and all this stuff they had to make sure everybody's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I go and get kids set up. Okay, let's get started, kids. Okay, we're online. We had a whole virtual school. I have a schoolroom for them.
Yes.
They have their own seats, and I got a freshman in high school, and I got a fifth grader. So, you know, one's on one side of the table, the other's on they got their own shelving. I said, you put your stuff up here. We're going to get organized. My mom's a teacher, so I was like, we're going to do this right. Okay?
Yes.
I'm going to do this and this, and I'm going to stay with y'all till about lunchtime, okay? And then all y'all got to do is finish the school day. Like, y'all really done, okay, the way this stuff is set up. Girl, I go into work, okay? Morning has been great. I get a phone call about 2 hours into work, trying to get the restaurant ready to rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking out in hives. I said, wait, what?
Oh,
no,
Lord.
No, not, wait, no. Because we're far. I was like, you can't do that today. This is the first day of virtual school. I said, God, what is happening? So I promise you, I'm on my FaceTime. My daughter's like, see this swelling and see on my arm. I said, what happened? My son's like, I don't know. I said, get your big brother. Thank God I got a 23-year-old at home.
Yes.
Right? Who works from home. I said, go get Michael. Michael, get a child Benadryl. How much Benadryl? I said, okay, hold time out. Okay. So let's just say, we have had, and she continues the next day to break out in hives. Not while I was home. She waited till I got into work, broke out in hives. I said, are you stressed? Are you anxious, baby? Like, what is it? No, it turns out that her allergies are producing like hives, so they gave her some medicine. So I got home from work. You want to talk about the combination? I'm driving like a mad woman down the highway trying to get to my home to get the kids, you know, situated with number one dinner, because we don't really have a game plan for dinner yet. So I'm like, don't worry, I'm bringing food from the restaurant. Everything's going to be fine. And they're like, it's okay, we're in here eating chips. I'm like, no, not the plan. Not and then I get home, put it down, eat an orange, you know, dinner's on the table. I get, you know, they eat their dinner. I snatch up child one, run her out the house to the urgent care center, which thank God is very close. Get in there. They give me the medicine. We get home. I get her washed up. She's looking better. Put the puppy out, you know, get myself in the shower and collapse face down on the bed. I said,
wow. Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
Then high school child, how are you? Oh, well, I forgot to attend my first class, but I think I'm good otherwise. I said, okay, all right.
So basically everybody is just kind of bumping around in the dark trying to figure out this new virtual real life world and maintain a business when nothing is secure.
You can't call us. So thank you, Jesus. I got a husband who's able to, you know, tag team with me and all that stuff. But I promise you, the tag team is not like it ain't what you think. Like you still passing each other. And then I'm like, did you grab the medicine? I forgot. It's kind of a mess. But at the same time, I will say, the schools and the teachers, I give them a million levels of kudos for doing what they can and trying to make everything feel normal. Okay, that you can see their game faces on like, we're okay. You know, like, I know you're not okay. But you know, everybody's doing their best. And that makes, at least me as a parent, I definitely felt supported in trying to pull off a business and maintain it virtual. And I think that they got their flow. I mean, you know, the teachers were gracious and the schools were gracious. They knew the first couple of days, you know, you heard the kids getting online. I'm not sure if this is the right class, and oh, am I supposed to be, hello, and, they're writing weird things in the chat, like, my dog just pooped, so it's,
wow.
It's just, the teachers, God bless the teachers. Yeah. And, the kids are fantastic because they're trying to adapt. And, we just all have to be, I think, very patient with each other. I will also say I want, to just ask folks to be patient with these Black businesses too, because it is a whole lot to try to build these businesses up with all these protocols, all of these rules and regulations and changes in the way you thought you were going to work or the way that you're used to working. Yeah. And then you don't realize that, like, I literally had a moment yesterday where there was a 6 o'clock parent call and that I had to do parent orientation while a customer walks in, and I have to tag team one of my folks. I was like, you take the customer. I got to finish this call.
Wow.
So I'm one of two.
Wow. So high-level multitasking is happening. I'm down to the last 2 minutes of the show. I gotta say, I'm so happy that you're persevering, that you're continuing on with the dream. I love your "we're not gonna let this get in the way" attitude. And we want people to support you. So when is the big reveal? When is the big reveal for the new business?
Big reveal. Everybody come on out, families, friends, everybody's welcome. Just wear your mask because we don't play in this place. 42nd in Lancaster, so the address is 725 North 42nd Street, Imperial, Caribbean, and Seafood. We open tomorrow, Saturday, September 12th at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. is our big grand opening in our special Imperial Garden we have for you to sit outdoors or take your food with you to go. We're going to have a live DJ, and we just hope everybody can make it out and support. We're grateful that we have the opportunity to help the Lancaster corridor area, the West Philadelphia area, and we just want to ask God to bless the day.
Amen. And bless your beautiful family as you continue to strive through this COVID life that we are living. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today and give us an update on how things are going.
Thank you, Tiffany. Always being a resource. Bless you, sis.
No problem. Bless you. Thank you so much for checking out our show today. I told you you would be inspired, empowered, and enlightened. These women are doing their thing. Please continue to support them. Look for information in the chat on our Facebook page. Much love going out to my producer, Miss Kayla J. Always amazing. Don't forget, her playlist is out today. It's the Black Lives Matter playlist. You can check it out on our website, and you can also check it out on our newsletter. If you do not receive our newsletter, go to the website, input your email address, and you will be a newsletter subscriber. Groundings is next with Brother Shamari. Have a peaceful, positive, and productive weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Today, tomorrow,